Hello, folks. Welcome back to Sports About Miles and Quinn. It's been a while since we've seen you, but today we are doing something. We're just having a new episode. Great to be back. So yeah, stay tuned, and we'll be back after these words. Wow, thanks, Dad. This is a great game.
You betcha! Pops Pretzels! Get your pops here! Get your pops here! Pops Pretzels! Get your pops here!
Hey, Dad, can we get a couple Pops Pretzels?
You betcha!
Sweet. Nothing compares to a warm, delicious, cooked to perfection Pops Pretzel at the game. Pops, they're perfect.
And if you can't make it to the game, let Pops Pre-Frozen bring the taste of the game to you.
With Miles and Quinn.
And we are back. New commercial, new episode. So let's get into it. For today's episode, we will be talking a little throwback back to Thanksgiving football. So today we will just be getting on with it. So yeah, here we go. But first, as you heard, we had a new commercial. So over the weekend, we did end up preparing a new commercial, and that was Pops Pretzels. One of the episodes, I forget which one, we had like a Pops Pretzel on the show, and it was great. We kind of showed it, and now we made a commercial for it. It's a new one. We all really like it, so we decided to add it to our arsenal. And so yeah, new commercial. But now let's get on with it. Turkey Day was a little while ago, and there was some good football, so we're gonna go over it. So yeah, let's get into it. Who wants to start? I can start, or one of you guys can start. We of course have Miles Marcoux and Miles Lane. So do one of you want to start? You guys want me to start?
You can start.
Okay, I'll start it off. So we had 2 games on Thanksgiving. We were supposed to have 3, but one got postponed to yesterday due to COVID-19. But the 2 games that there were we had the Texans and the Lions around like noonish, and then after that game was the Washington football team and the Dallas Cowboys. So we had some not really okay games. Washington and Dallas was kind of a blowout, but I think we'll do that one second. So the first game was the Lions at the Texans, and honestly, that was a crazy game. It started off really strong. It started off, there was turnovers, there was touchdowns, a lot of things happened in that beginning of the game, and so yeah, a lot of things happened. In the first half, I'm pretty sure Adrian Peterson scored a touchdown for the Lions in that first half. Some other players scored. I'm not sure if this was in the first or the second half, but you guys might have seen, can't quite remember, but the Lions were running some trick plays, and they ended up trying to throw a touchdown pass to Matthew Stafford. Unfortunately, it wasn't catch. I forget if that was in the first or second half, but that was a great play. They ruled it not a catch because of his security on the ball. I'm not sure if Noah agrees with that, but that's okay.
To be honest, I didn't really agree with it. I thought it was, I don't know, maybe they should switch quarterbacks and make their wide receiver their quarterback. And great throw. Me and Quinn were just like in awe of that throw. That was awesome.
Yeah, it was a beautiful throw. Had perfect height. Not really perfect height, but I guess perfect height for that throw. It was like really arching ball and went right into Matthew Stafford's hands, but he did end up dropping it. But still, it was a cool play to see. One of you guys want to take it away, say something?
Yeah, I can say something. So honestly, you guys were in awe of that game. Quite frankly, I didn't find it as good of a game. I am a person who does not like to see a lot of turnovers unless they're on the team I'm rooting for. I was personally rooting for the Lions, and the game I thought was bad and mismanaged. So I just stopped watching it and I went hunting instead because that seemed more interesting. But a takeaway I did have was TJ Hawkinson in the first half looked very good, and he sort of bottomed out towards the end of the game. And of course, Quinn does not love me saying this, but JJ Watt, he had a fantastic pick six, and I thought that was pretty cool to watch, just proving him that he's not that old yet,
All right, Miles, I'm just going to say this. You said I don't love you saying that. JJ Watt's great. I have nothing against JJ Watt. I don't know why you think that. Why do you think I have something against JJ Watt?
Who was the person we were arguing with?
I think it's Camden. I think
Tuesday?
Camden has something against
Camden.
JJ Watt.
He just Snapchatted me. Yeah, we were talking about that. Camden, for some of you who don't remember, because he has only been on the show once, he was the guy who did the World Series one with us. He also talks about football. Just fun fact there.
Yeah, but he doesn't think JJ Watt is so great. But JJ Watt is very underrated. Very good player. He is very underrated. He's very good for his age, too. Very old. Has dealt with some injuries, which our friend Kevin was arguing. But still, he had a phenomenal game. He had that crazy pick six. He, bobbled it, did a 360. It was pretty cool, but, yeah, Miles Lane, you want to say anything?
So I did not end up watching that game. I watched the Washington football and the Cowboys game. I'm just kind of wondering. I mean, I agree with you. JJ Watt's a great player, and his brother TJ Watt is definitely making an impact for the Steelers, helping them go 11-0 currently. Who won that game?
The Texans ended up winning. It was kind of close towards halftime, but then the Texans ended up pulling it out at the end of the game. It kind of started. They kind of just started to widen the lead, and they ended up winning that game.
Yeah, so if some of you didn't watch that game like I didn't, so Texans won, and it sounds like the Lions had a couple chances, didn't take them, dropped the ball, had a pick six from a defensive lineman, which doesn't happen often, and so the Texans, though, I think that the Texans are doing very good this year. I mean, narrowingly pulling off a win against the Lions when you were a playoff team last year. Probably going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to go very far. So Texans might have kind of dropped off since last year.
Yeah, no, the Texans this year aren't really doing what we thought they could do. A while ago, it was, I think, one of our longest episodes. Me and Miles sat down and we tiered all of the NFL teams from A to S, or from D to S, S being the best, D being the worst. And me and Miles said that the Texans were I think we said they were an A or B tier team, which last year they were playing really well. Deshaun Watson was in his prime. They had DeAndre Hopkins, who at the time was probably the best wide receiver in the league. But then they made some risky offseason. They made some risky moves in this offseason. They traded away DeAndre Hopkins, got David Johnson, who isn't playing amazing. I think Deshaun Watson still is playing fairly well, but his team isn't really doing so well. It's just that whole team really isn't performing. And, you said that you think they'll still make the playoffs. I'm not really sure what the rest of their schedule is, but I'm not sure if they will make the playoffs. If they do, though, I think they'll get eliminated quickly.
Yeah, Quinn, what you said about the Texans not making the playoffs, and if they do, they'll be eliminated quickly. Personally, I just don't see it happening for them. I mean, you're in a division where you can't possibly win because there are two giant teams there that are both very good and have both proven that they can beat them. And as of right now, the Texans aren't beating a lot of good teams. The past 2 games are on a 2-game winning streak. But 3 out of their 4 games, they've beaten the Patriots, scoff, Jaguars, and the Lions. Those are not great teams, let alone good teams. I mean, out of those, there's maybe one, if that, playoff team. So the Texans have a difficult schedule ahead of them. I don't see them making the playoffs. And even if they did make the playoffs, I can't see them doing anything with it. David Johnson, who they traded, is currently on IR, which definitely hurts them because Duke Johnson is a definitely overrated running back. Deshaun Watson's not playing his best football. I have a lot to say about the Texans, but what I'm most saying is they're just not a very good team this year, and that's could be because of the DeAndre Hopkins trade. Also, Will Fuller hasn't exactly stepped up into the role. He's pretty much played good football, like the same good football he's played for the past few years, which would help them ordinarily, but they just don't have enough targets for him to only play decent football. And another thing about the Thanksgiving game between the Texans and the Lions, Mohamed Sanu played a very good game for the Lions as well. So him, Hawkinson, and Stafford, I mean, it's been a rough year for the Lions. It always really has been. They've never even been to a Super Bowl, let alone won one. And Matthew Stafford, I feel bad for him because he's a fantastic quarterback. He just hasn't had a good enough team to get him there.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford is a very underrated quarterback, and like in past years, I've considered Matthew Stafford a top 10 quarterback in the league. But the team around him hasn't been great. He hasn't had a lot of targets. He's had Kenny Galladay before. He's had Marvin Jones. But those players, they've had some big moments, but they haven't been really consistent for him. Kenny Galladay being injured for the start of the season didn't help him out at all. TJ Hawkinson, though, he was a rookie last year, I believe. Is that true? I think that's true. And yeah, he's been playing exceptionally well. Last year didn't do so well, but this year he's starting to amp it up. Start to play better. But like I was saying, Matthew Stafford, I considered a top QB in the league maybe a few years ago, but now I'm not so sure, and maybe it's because that coaching staff, because Matt Patricia did just get fired, so maybe we'll see a change if their new head coach can make a change with that team, try and flip that team around, but we'll see.
Yeah, what you said about Matthew Stafford not having a lot of consistent targets. I mean, I feel bad for him because, again, I've always considered him to be a top 10 quarterback. Quite frankly, this could just be my imagination hoping, but I've always thought that if he was on the Chiefs, he'd be better than Patrick Mahomes. Yeah, Chiefs fans. I don't like the Chiefs. So I think Matthew Stafford, maybe Matt Patricia wasn't the right coach for them. Maybe they just blown their draft picks. I'm not sure. And it's not like he has no help whatsoever. I mean, he has a solid running back core with Adrian Peterson getting the 3-yard touchdowns and Kerryon Johnson doing all the dirty work for him. So I'm not sure, but maybe it's Matt Stafford. Maybe it's the coaching environment. Maybe it's lack of defense. The Detroit Lions are not put together well enough to go anywhere or win anything, and I think that hurts Matt Stafford's career. However, he tied Tony Romo's record of most touchdowns thrown on Thanksgiving Day, so something's going right for him.
Yeah, all these games on Thanksgiving Day, you'd hope so. But yeah, great points, Miles. Miles Lane, you have anything else to say about the game? If not, I think we'll talk about the Washington football team and the Cowboys game.
Well, I was just gonna suggest that we go on to the Ravens and Steelers and save that kind of Thanksgiving rivalry for last, since that's like kind of the traditional rivalry you always see. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, they didn't end up playing on Thanksgiving because of COVID, but we could still talk about that game even though they didn't end up playing.
I was just gonna ask the question, why are the Steelers so good? Like I'm having trouble understanding. When I learned that they were like 10-0, I was like, the Steelers? They didn't even like make the playoffs last year or something. And so
Yeah,
I've heard that.
Go.
I've heard that Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, he's kind of known for like being able to like move around in the pocket without getting tackled and like being able to keep the play alive, getting a throw off if someone's like halfway on him and stuff like that. And I heard this stat that he's like the quickest releasing quarterback in the NFL. Like right away, he just throws the ball like, and that's not really his style, but it seems to be working. Obviously, it's not the only thing, but maybe you can answer that question for me, Quinn.
Yeah, this Steelers team is just great all around. Great wide receiving duo, Chase Claypool, a great rookie this year. He's had, I think he's had 10 touchdowns through the first 10 games he's played. That's phenomenal for any rookie wide receiver, touchdown per game. That's just great. Also, Juju Smith-Schuster, he's also been playing exceptionally well. I believe one other is James Washington. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that's one of theirs, who is very underrated. He's kind of like, he's good for like wide receiver screens. He really fights for it. So that they have a great wide receiving duo. They have a pretty decent running back duo in James Conner. I'm not sure who else they have, honestly, but James Conner has been playing pretty well this season. They have Ben Roethlisberger, like you said, who is playing some of his best football he's played in a little while, after having that injury last year, which I consider Ben Roethlisberger this year to be comeback player of the year for sure. And then they have a great defense. I think they have one of the top defenses in the league, Minkah Fitzpatrick. They have a great front seven. I think the best front seven in the league. They have TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, a bunch of other stars on that front seven who just are able to get to the quarterback quick, sack them quick, stop the run, do what they need to do. And that team, they just found out the recipe for success. So, and they've done what they need to do. Don't fix it if it's not broken.
Yeah, Quinn, what you said about Chase Claypool, first of all, Chase Claypool, I think is a little overrated. I mean, he's a rookie. There's a very real chance that next year he'll come back and he just won't be good. Second of all, I don't think he has 10 touchdowns. I'm pretty sure it's like 6 to 8. I don't know. Could be wrong. You could be right. I'm not sure. But Ben Roethlisberger, I consider, like you said, comeback player of the year. I think that's pretty easy. He could be a dark horse MVP. I sort of doubt it. If there's going to be an MVP on their team, I'd probably think it'd be TJ Watt because he's been playing the best defense in the NFL, and I think there's a very real possibility he'll win Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, the Steelers running back situation is fantastic with two pretty good backs, James Conner and Benny Snell Jr. Neither of those is an elite running back, but both of those are, B-tier, C-tier running backs. And when you have two of those who are good enough to make explosive plays, then I think you're pretty set there. So this offense, they don't have a lot of stars for wide receivers other than Juju Smith-Schuster, who I also think is overrated. But they have a fantastic quarterback in Ben Roethlisberger, who is a very underrated quarterback. And they have I'd say probably the best, if not top 3, top 5 defenses in the league. It's a big recipe for success there, and it shows by how many points their opponents are scoring.
Both of you, like Quinn said, James Washington, and just like I saw a little replay yesterday of him like catching something, and there was like 4 people around him, which is pretty insane if you think about it. So, like, he's definitely definitely an underrated player.
Yeah. So you guys, we kind of talked about that game a little. Well, we didn't really talk about the game. We talked about the Steelers. But you guys want to talk about like the Washington and Cowboys game?
Yes, I do, Quinn. And let me start by saying Washington football team should win that division. If not, then they got really unlucky because they are by far the best team in that division. Better than the Eagles, better than the Cowboys, and better than the Giants.
Put it in the comments what you think. Okay, put it in the comments if you think the Giants or the Washington football team will win this division, because it's definitely one of them. Both 4-7, which still isn't very good. I wouldn't say either of them
Giants are on a winning streak.
are phenomenal teams.
Yep.
But out of that division, I guess they're okay. Eagles probably will get last. They have been playing terrible football. Carson Wentz, terrible player this year, hasn't been playing well at all. I think, honestly,
you can't say he's been playing terrible. He hasn't been playing to his full potential. I feel like he has a lot of potential if he really works on it. But
I think he has a lot of potential to pass the all-time record for most interceptions in a regular season.
okay.
I do too. I mean, I saw this one thing where he was like taking
Same
a
here.
throw and like it rolled off his hands and went like a couple feet. Like when you're a professional quarterback, even if it only happened once and it might have been an accident, you can't make those mistakes.
Yeah, no, we kind of just shut you down there, but I'm sorry. Carson Wentz isn't a very good QB. That one year that the Eagles did end up winning the Super Bowl, it was not because of him. He got injured, and their backup ended up leading them to the Super Bowl, which is kind of sad. Or it's kind of sad
that
for him, but
backup-
I guess you can't really say that was a bad season for him because he didn't get to play the rest of that season. But still, this season, he's leading the league in most turnovers. He's not playing very well, not putting a lot of points on the board. But I do put some of that blame on that roster. He doesn't have any phenomenal wide receivers to throw to. He has Miles Sanders, but that's kind of like you can't really rely on that for a deep threat wide receiver or even like 2 mid-range. But still, so like I was saying before, kind of Eagles are out of the discussion. Cowboys, unfortunately, they were having a great season. Dak Prescott playing some of the best football. I think if he hadn't gotten injured, he could have been an MVP candidate if he continued playing the way he was playing. Unfortunately, had a compound fracture in his ankle and is out for the rest of the season. But so Andy Dalton, he's been playing decently well, but not that great. So it's kind of up to Washington or the Giants. Now, I personally think the Giants will win. Am I biased? Yes.
Well,
I'm biased because, like, I'm not going to say,
Yeah.
like, the Giants won't win, but I also kind of think they will win. The Giants, I think, have, honestly, the best corner, like, guarding the wide receiver in the NFL in James Bradbury, who's been playing phenomenal football.
That's debatable.
That's not debatable. It's fact.
That's definitely debatable. Like we got Stephon Gilmore,
Who hasn't been playing well.
In fairness, J.C. Jackson has been playing better.
But still, okay. All right, fine. We have James Bradbury, top 5 cornerback in the NFL. Blake Martinez,
It's also
leading,
debatable.
not leading, but like, I think he's leading top 10 in most tackles this year. In Blake Martinez, we have a
I
pretty,
think he's 5th or top 5 or
Yeah.
something like that in
We've-
tackle.
we have a pretty
Maybe
good
top 3.
We have a pretty good defensive line. Dexter Lawrence, Leonard Williams, who, okay, they don't get too many sacks, honestly, but still they bring the pressure and make the QB get the ball out quick, which is kind of what you want in a D tackle, but you do still want them to. But they've been playing fine. Daniel Jones, unfortunately, did get injured versus the Bengals, but he's been playing exceptionally well football. Colt McCoy is now in, unfortunately. Oh, wait, Miles, what's that? Who's that? Don't you, like, really like Colt McCoy? Oh, wait, doesn't Colt McCoy play for the Giants? Huh, so weird. That's a coincidence. Anyways, Colt McCoy is starting. Darius Slayton, who is a pretty good wide receiver. Evan Ingram, pretty okay tight end. We have Wayne Gallman, who played really well last week. We have Golden Tate, who hasn't been playing like amazing, but still he's been playing fine. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much what I would like to say about the Giants. All of those players have been playing really well football. They've started to get on a winning streak. So yeah, Miles, what do you have to say about Washington? What makes them better?
The Washington football team dominates the Giants in several key positions. Number 1 being coach. Ron Rivera is a very good coach. He's very well liked. He's a nice person in general, and he's also a good football coach. Of course, he has cancer, which is very unfortunate, but everybody in the football team's organization has been very supportive of him. He did make that one play against the Giants where he called to go for 2 instead of kicking the field goal, where he probably shouldn't have done that. And if he did, then they would have won. I'm fairly confident, and this wouldn't even be a conversation, really. But the thing is with the Giants and the football team is neither of them have particularly fantastic players. I mean, each team has like 1 or 2 players that you're like, oh, wow. Like, I'm not a football team fan, quite frankly. I don't really care what happens to them as long as it beat the Giants. And I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm sure both teams will have losers and still be playoff teams. The thing is, advantages are mostly going to the Washington football team. Like, quarterback advantage clearly is going to the Washington football team. I mean, you have Alex Smith, better than Daniel Jones. Dwayne Haskins, better than Daniel Jones.
All right,
Of
that's
course,
a lot.
Colt McCoy's there, and Colt McCoy is the best player in the league, so I can't argue with Colt McCoy. He's the GOAT. And you have better wide receivers. Darius Slayton is very up-and-coming, fantastic wide receiver, but he's not as good as Terry McLaurin. Wayne Gallman, okay-ish running back, but then Antonio Gibson is a better okay-ish running back. You really just don't have a lot of key positions. Your defense, I'd say, is slightly better than theirs, but on your defensive line, measured to theirs. Chase Young is a rookie, and I think he has more sacks than your oldest defensive lineman, which is just not fantastic for you guys. So Daniel Jones, if it came down in the last game to these two, Daniel Jones would get sacked. He would make more mistakes. And, of course, Alex Smith wouldn't crumble under the pressure. I think that the Washington football team, given the opportunity, will go to the playoffs with a 6-10 record. Well,
Okay.
the Giants will stay with 5-11 record.
Miles, I am going to record that. And when the Giants make the playoffs, not if the Giants make the playoffs, but when the Giants make the playoffs, I will play that on repeat in your ear for 3 hours. 3 hours, I tell you, okay? And by the way, you cannot compare
Deal.
Dwayne Haskins to Daniel Jones. Let's be real. You're going a little overboard with that. You have to admit.
Yeah, I
Okay,
have to
so-
admit, that was a little bit of a compact decision. I'd say Daniel Jones is probably slightly better than Dwayne Haskins. End of conversation.
Fine.
Okay. So, for me, honestly, I have a hard time deciding between these two. I did say Washington football team. I still do think Washington football team might have the edge, but it really just comes down to which team works together the best. I mean, they both don't have amazing players. I mean, Chase Young, Daniel Jones, kind of the best player of each team. I mean, they might have better players on either teams, but like that's the most prominent players, I think. And that is kind of rough for Daniel Jones. Obviously, he's not playing, but that's rough for the quarterback when the best player on their team is the one that's going to be sacking you. And so I think that Chase Young, he might get to their quarterback a little bit more than the Giants would want, and that might kind of make them lose. But I think it comes down to the Giants' offense because their defense, I think Washington has better defense. But if the Giants have a better offense and outplay and just hold the Washington football team a couple times on defense, then they could win. But I honestly think it comes down to what teams they are playing in the next couple games. Like, say, the Redskins are playing, or Washington football team is playing, like, I don't know, some pretty good teams. Like, they're on the NFC. They play, like, the Saints and, like, the Bucks. They're going to lose both of those games. And the Giants play, like, I don't know, the Lions and, like, the Bears. Then I think it might go in Giants' favor, but it really comes down to, I think, the games they're playing.
Yeah. Well,
If I can comment, I'm pretty sure the Giants would lose to the Bears and the Lions. Just going to say.
Okay. Well, So that I think we've been going on about that for a little while. But the Giants actually play like the Seahawks, the Arizona Cardinals, the Ravens, the Browns, and the Cowboys. So that's great, just phenomenal. God. Anyways, so
That's great.
that should wrap it up for the first half of our show. It was a little bit of a long first half, but that's okay. I hope. Is that okay with you guys? It's okay. Good.
Yeah.
All
As
right.
long as we can next time.
So we're gonna move into our
Yeah, it's okay with
mid-commercial
me.
breaks, and then we'll have second half of the show as normal, trivia, stuff like that. We'll be back after these words.
Whether a scrape on your knee or a boo-boo on your arm, we at Kid Clinic are here for your needs. Our entire staff of doctors, nurses, and practitioners have graduated from the highest levels of elementary education. And, most of all, we care. We care. We care.
Wait, you're just a kid.
Relax, Mr. Schwartz. I'm a Band-Aid expert. Working at the Kid Clinic has been a dream come true and a huge step for my career. And recess is always fun. Thank you, Kid Clinic.
I have to say, I think we got the upper hand in that conversation.
Quarantine. Hands clean. Quarantine. Sterosine.
If we stayed at home today,
Took some time to isolate.
just one day out of life,
We could save so many lives.
With Miles and Quinn.
Hello, folks, and welcome back to the show. So that wraps it up for our mid-commercial break, and now we're gonna get on to the second half of the show with listener questions, lane slowdown. I'd say relatively still pretty new segment. Trivia, listener questions. I think I already said that, and no helmet slap. We will forever miss helmet slap until Miles Marcoux is here again. We will forever miss helmet slap. But yeah, so let's get on with it. I forget, do we normally, and local sports, forgot about that one. So I'm pretty sure we normally do local sports, lanes low down, and then the rest in no section. So Noah, you want to hit them with the local sports for today?
I will. Just a little holiday quarantine to remember to wear your mask while outside in large areas of people.
Yeah, very important also now because, I'll let you go.
Okay. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. It was a little bit of a weird one, but at least we were all with our families, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So local sports, basketball still being delayed due to COVID. It's a weird thing because like, if you can have basketball, then why can't you travel? You know, it's like, because you're around with people, but at the same time, you have to make reservations to go up to the mountain. It opened Wednesday last week, and 25% capacity. It's a little bit weird. I went up today, and there's no one up there. The conditions aren't great. It hasn't snowed much, but it's snowboarding and skiing. It's what we go to the mountain for,
Yeah.
and it's still fun. I'm not really sure if I have anything else to say. Basketball, really hope it happens. I don't want to say I doubt it, but it's close.
Yeah, it's a tough one to have, you know. But if they have it, no fans, just to, everyone stay safe. But no, you mentioned the holiday quarantine at the beginning. So make sure to, stay safe, wear your mask, and it's kind of relevant around the holiday times. Currently, at least where we live, you can't travel. I'm pretty sure where you live probably too. The restrictions are very similar. You can't travel long distances, or you could, but like when you come back, you have to quarantine. Stay safe. But it's pretty relevant around the holiday times because of like Christmas coming up, Thanksgiving, traveling to see family for those two holidays. But if make sure you're staying safe while you're doing all these things. So Noah, you said that was wrapping it up for your section. So let's move on to Lane's Lowdown, which is a relatively new section. I think we first had it 3 episodes ago or so. And so Miles Lane, take it away.
So first I just kind of want to comment on Noah's section. He was talking about restrictions. That is true. You have to make a reservation, and except if you're an employee or employee family, you don't have to make a restriction. I have heard that, because my mom works at the mountain, and don't know what Miles is doing there. Okay. So today I'm going to be talking about running backs. We talked about wide receivers. We've talked about quarterbacks. Have not talked about running backs yet. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think that's accurate.
Okay. So, I think like the newest running back we've had that has made a big impact, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who is now on the Chiefs, or has always been on the Chiefs, and he's doing really good for a rookie, making some really explosive plays. He's short and really hard to tackle, and so that's a good thing. And he's really fast. He was on LSU last year, which won the championship for all the college football. And so Le'Veon Bell has also gone to the Chiefs. He got traded from the Jets for, I don't really know who, maybe like a draft pick or something. But Le'Veon Bell is going to probably have a hard time starting. By the way, we've seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire playing. And so I'm pretty sure that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to go pretty far unless like he drops off next season. I think he's going to make an impact. Definitely a very good running back. And now a lot of teams, after seeing the Ravens done it, have been doing a lot
If
more.
I can comment. Miles, if I can comment. Le'Veon Bell was released by the Jets and then signed by the Chiefs.
Oh.
Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I was gonna say is that a lot of teams have switched up to the quarterback running instead of the running back after seeing the Ravens done it, and went really well for them. Obviously, Cam Newton doing that, and like some teams that like weren't doing it at all, like Trace Sorley or whatever I saw for the Ravens yesterday. Obviously, that's a big part of their offense, but he didn't seem like a very running-oriented person like Lamar Jackson or RG3. He just wasn't like the best runner, but they still went for it. And I've seen a bunch of other teams going for quarterback runs. Obviously, not some like Cowboys haven't been really going for it because they're on their second string already. the Washington football team hasn't been going for it because Alex Smith just got out of injury. Don't want him to get injured again. And he can't really do it after because his leg is still not the same. But definitely a lot more quarterback running, which means that the running backs, you might think it's bad for them because they don't get to run a lot, but it almost makes it easier for them because before when you line up for the play, defense is looking at you, the running back, thinking that you're going to run, getting their defense ready for you. And now, like, Evan Ingram or whatever, who was running for the Ravens, is very overrated, I think. Good stats, but the only reason is because everyone's like, who should I look for, Lamar Jackson or Evan Ingram? And so when the running back actually got handed the ball to run, it was like, whoa, and they didn't expect it because Lamar Jackson ran almost every time. And so Evan Ingram had like a wide open run and got a bunch of yards per carry. And so I think that the running backs are definitely having longer plays now that the quarterbacks have been running a little bit more. And I think that that's not really good for the running backs, but maybe they enjoy it. I don't know. But another running back that I've been thinking about a lot is for the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, well, I haven't been thinking about them having a running back. I can't really think of a running back that they have. It's just because they're a team that I think needs a running back because I forget the quarterback's name. But he is definitely not someone who runs. And so I think they need a good running back. And hasn't really been happening. Can't really think of it. And then Dalvin Cook also. Very good. He plays for the Vikings. And he is really good. Like some people nicknamed him the chef just because his last name. And he's made quite a difference for the Vikings. I mean, they're still like kind of like last year because they were pretty good, but definitely adds a whole new element to their offense. And I think that could conclude it for my section.
Yeah, no, you had a lot of great points bringing up the quarterbacks, I think, because in this new age in football, a very important piece is running read option, which if you don't know is when you have the option to either hand the ball off to the running back or run it with your QB. And it's a very important play for some of these teams you mentioned, like the Ravens, having Lamar Jackson, who's a great runner, because then that team has to make a decision. Who do you want to go for? Do you want to try and attack Lamar Jackson, or do you want to give it to the running back, which is honestly a really easy read for the quarterback to make. If a lot of people are going towards the running back, Lamar Jackson will just take the ball and take off, and then there's a large amount of space for him, considering he's a very fast not running back. I guess you could consider him a running back, a very fast QB. But then you also mentioned Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who I agree with you. I think he's a top, probably so far the best rookie running back who was drafted. And I feel like going into the draft, no one was really talking about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, him being the 32nd pick in the draft, going to the Chiefs. Very lucky of him to go to this Chiefs team who is very good. It's a great opportunity for him. And, he's been playing really well up to the standards that Chiefs hoped. In the first game of the season where the Chiefs played the Texans, I believe, he had a touchdown in his first ever game, which is great for him. So he's been playing very well. He's been rushing for a lot of yards. I don't think he's had as many touchdowns, but I feel like he's leading in rushing yards and not leading first place, but I feel like he's up there. And then you also mentioned Dalvin Cook, who I totally agree. I think Dalvin Cook, after at the beginning of the season, everyone was saying Russell Wilson was the top MVP candidate, and then there was Aaron Rodgers, then there was Ben Roethlisberger, and now here's Dalvin Cook coming in here. He's leading the league in rushing yards, I believe. I think so. I think that's correct. Or rushing touchdowns, one of the two. And he's just
he's leading the league in rushing touchdowns. Derrick Henry's leading the league in rushing yards. Back to you, Quinn.
That's it. All right. So he's leading the league in rushing touchdowns, playing very well for this Vikings offense, who honestly isn't phenomenal. Kirk Cousins not playing up to his standards. Adam Thielen playing pretty well. But overall, this Vikings team hasn't been playing phenomenally. But Dalvin Cook has really stepped it up, trying to carry this team on his back, trying to carry this team to the playoffs and maybe even go further. I don't think they'll go much further than maybe the second round of the playoffs if they do anything in the playoffs. But, so Dalvin Cook, great choice, or great point. Obviously, he's been playing very well this season. And then I feel like you mentioned someone else. Or you mentioned 49ers running backs, and you mentioned you said that you couldn't think of any. I'm not sure, but can one of you fact check me on this? Miles, do you know if Raheem Mostert is injured? I
forgot about Mostert.
I knew he was on IR.
Oh, so he may be on IR.
Yeah, sorry.
So this 49ers team is very injured. So, like you said, it's tough to think of a solid running back, and their QB, Nick Mullins, is a mobile quarterback. So, that's the issue for that team. And you didn't bring this player up. Miles kind of brought him up when I talked about Dalvin Cook leading in touchdowns when I first said he was leading in rushing yards. And you brought up Derrick Henry, who I think so far through these past few games has been definitely a top 3 running back in the league so far. Leading in rushing yards. He had overtime win against the Ravens. He's been playing phenomenal. He's very tall. He's I'm not even sure. He must be maybe 6'5", very tall, very muscular. Can't believe I just said that word. Yeah, go ahead.
He is insane. He can break so many tackles. I've seen him break 3 tackles in one run, and I'm just wow. He's very strong.
Yeah, you're definitely strong.
He can break so many people on some runs. Yeah, back to you, Quinn.
You're strong when your Instagram handle is King Henry. That must be so intimidating if you're about to play him. Imagine that. You're just playing defense, and there comes King Henry _22. Gosh, that'd be frightening. And he sticks his arm out to stiff arm you, and then you're scared out of your mind. You don't know what to do, so you probably just run. So yeah. You want to
hold up, Quinn? I had something to say too. Quinn, so you know how you mentioned the read option? Well, I find it coincidental and ironic that Andy Reid doesn't need that option because last time he had a quarterback run, his quarterback dislocated his knee. Ha. Well, not about the knee thing, about how he did the Reid thing. Back to you, Quinn.
Okay. I'm done. Miles Lane, you want to say anything else?
No, I think you made a really great point about Derrick Henry. I'm definitely forgetting some running backs, but he's very good. And I can't believe I forgot this person, Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is really, really good. Definitely top 3 running back with Derrick Henry. And
Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, Alvin Kamara too, but Christian McCaffrey, probably number 1 in the league last year, could be that again. He's definitely carrying the Panthers. And they'd be definitely one of the worst teams in the league if they didn't have Christian McCaffrey. He's he brings so much to their offense with he had more passing yards, more yards after getting passed to or from the pass than rushing yards, just because he's very versatile when it comes to rushing and passing.
Are you talking about last year?
Yeah, last year he had more passing yards than rushing yards, which is pretty insane if you think about it when you're a running back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because this year Christian McCaffrey, unfortunately, he was injured for the beginning of the season with an ankle injury, and his first game back he injured his shoulder, and now he's out again. And this Panthers team isn't very good. I don't see them making the playoffs anytime soon, so I think that's a season ender for him. But Yeah, so Noah, I think we're ready to send it over to you with listener questions, unless Miles Lane or Miles Marcoux, unless either of you have anything else to say.
Can we hurry this up? My phone's about to die.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead, Noah.
I'll just get right on to it. So, COVID, it's still a question. Why are things still happening? In my opinion, they shouldn't have stopped it just so it could get better, but also the enjoyment of the NFL. So, what are your thoughts on those events continuing?
On NFL continuing?
Yeah. And other sports like basketball, NBA coming in too.
Well, NBA is obviously is eventually going to come back in. They had the draft recently. They're coming back in. I personally think the NFL has been doing an exceptionally decent job keeping COVID keeping down their COVID cases. Obviously, the Ravens had a little outbreak. So they obviously they can be doing better. But I think I'm kind of glad that they kept it going. It's kind of the main point of our sports babble. But it's important for them to stay safe. But I think they have been, which is, if they can stay safe, then I think it's important for them to have football.
Okay. Miles Lane.
I'm going to try and keep this as brief as possible since Miles' phone is about to die. But I sort of agree with them how it kind of shouldn't be happening, but I feel like football is like something I know all of us enjoy and probably a bunch of you enjoy. It's a really fun thing to watch. And so the fact that in this like world that isn't very fun right now because of COVID, that we have something that we enjoy happening. And so I'm glad for that. If as Quinn was saying, if you think about it, this many people with their masks off tackling each other, you think that there'd be way more COVID cases. And so they're doing very well behind the circumstances that's happening. Mm-hmm. And I think that if they stay like this, they're definitely going to be able to keep going. And I hope they do.
Yeah. Miles Marcoux.
Yeah, I actually don't think the NFL's doing a fantastic job. MLB had more games on more days, and their organizations were more in contact with each other. And they had less COVID outbreaks and many more days.
Well,
that doesn't mean that I especially think. I don't especially think that the NFL is doing a bad job. I just don't. I think the NFL could be doing a better job, and I think that they're sort of rushing into a season. I imagine they would have gone into a season really no matter what, but I'm not sure if it was 100% the best idea to do things as they did them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, next question. If you were an NFL player, right, say this, and you're on, say, the Lions, of course you play on Thanksgiving, right? So, would you want to do that and maybe come home to your family at 9 o'clock and eat Thanksgiving dinner, or eat it at maybe like 10 o'clock in the morning,
Well, no, that's a very valid point. Considering playing these games on Thanksgiving, you probably don't get home to your family till late at night. Probably your family's probably going to come and watch the game, but still you probably don't get home till late at night unless you're staying at a hotel nearby. But then you got to get a new plane to get back home. So players like Matthew Stafford, per se, who have a family, you probably got to leave early in the morning. Don't have time to eat then. You got to play your game. Don't have time to eat during the game, obviously, unless you want to eat a feast on the sideline during halftime, maybe. Then after the game, you got to get on the plane and go home. So, that's a great point. The thing is, would you rather be on the field playing football, or do you want to be with your family? Mm-hmm. So that's kind of. So you're asking me like what I would do in that?
Yes or no?
I'm not sure what I would do in that situation. Mm-hmm. It's a tough one. Definitely put a lot of thought into it.
Miles Lane, yes or no?
Honestly, it really depends because since the NFL is so popular, it's like such a thing. Thanksgiving football, everyone thinks about it. really exciting. And also it's really fun because like when you're like obviously not the players, but like when you're eating Thanksgiving with your family, you can just turn on some football, watch it, classic rivalries. It's really like a tradition, you could say, in America. So it's kind of hard to stop that. If I was a player, I mean, Thanksgiving is like a big holiday. In my family, we like go. I join with like my whole mom side of the family. Obviously, that didn't happen this year, but it's a big tradition. And so, if I was a player, I probably would rather not have games. If I wasn't a player, I definitely would want games because it's like really fun.
Yeah, for me, I'm not sure. It's a difficult one. Fun little story time here. I went to Texas once, and it was over Thanksgiving break. There, they don't have Thanksgiving as big as we do here, but we had a Thanksgiving meal, and we actually had it at lunchtime. It was weird, not gonna lie, but it wasn't as weird as I thought it'd be. So, if you're playing, at whatever time, late at night, 7:30, 8:20, I'm not sure, for the Thanksgiving night game, I don't think it'd be as huge of an issue. You could just eat your Thanksgiving meal earlier in the day. However, if you played at 12:30, you could have you could probably, if your family went to, I don't know, a restaurant or something, you could probably have a Thanksgiving meal there.
Okay. So honestly, I don't know. It's a tough decision to make. Like Miles Lane was saying, football is a big thing, but also your family is even a big thing too. So yeah, let's move on to the trivia. Miles trying to make this a little faster for your phone's sake. Let's see. No, that's not the right one.
Thank you for that.
Yeah. So let me just cover up real quick.
Oh shoot, we were recording. I'm kidding. We were recording. Don't worry.
The what was I gonna say? Make sure to email for any ideas about the show for Sports Babble. It would actually really help us out because we're kind of running out of ideas, but hopefully the NFL is kind of helping us out.
Yeah.
Subscribe, comment. It's a weird thing.
We say it, but you guys, it's super weird. Obviously it's not an issue for me because I'm subscribed to Sports Babble, but Miles Lane per se, or no, not per se. Say someone who wasn't subscribed, it's super weird. You can't say you wanted to watch Dude Perfect.
Oh.
If you're not subscribed to Sports Babble, you can't watch Dude Perfect. It's tragic, but
it just shuts down.
So just make sure it will delete YouTube right off your phone. You can't download it ever again. So make sure to subscribe. It's super weird. Also, you have to like and comment.
No need to test it though.
Yeah, no need to. Don't test it because we don't want you to lose YouTube. That would really stink because then you won't be able to watch your videos.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So trivia: who won between the Seahawks and Eagles, and what was the score?
Shmoney, but not Shmoney.
Okay, I'll
nailed it. I know the answer.
To you guys, Quinn, you want to answer this one first?
No.
No. Anybody at home wants to answer it first?
I think I know, but
I was just hoping you were gonna say the Panthers game because I knew the score for that.
Okay.
Then the Panthers lose.
This is actually the Seahawks and the Eagles. So
yeah, I know. I have no idea. I'll go last.
That's one of our best answers that we got yet.
And you're right.
Okay.
Miles Marquis, you want to go? So I get a little bit of a hint. I think I.
Yes, I know this one because I actually watched the game. It was 17-20. Oh gosh. 24, 22, 23, 17-23.
Who won that?
No. Seahawks.
Okay.
Seahawks.
Quinn,
definitely won.
Do you want to go on this one?
Before when I thought I knew it, I was thinking 23-19. But now I'm rethinking myself. 23-19. Nope. 23-17. I know this. I know it's Interlochen. Seahawks.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna change my answer from I don't know to 23-17.
And Seahawks.
The F1. Yeah.
Well, you guys all got it right. Nice job. So that's 3 times in a row. I don't know.
What?
You guys.
We did?
Yeah, you guys got it right.
Yes.
Thanks to Miles Marcoux.
Yeah.
So
Remember that last second catch? Of course I remember that. Wait, what was the score?
20.
17.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
okay.
like, I was just saying random numbers.
I should have done that. It's like when you told me the Bucks won and then they didn't, and then I got helmet slapped.
Okay,
Would've been
so
totally
this
worth
is
it.
ending up being a pretty long episode. Thank you for
Oh,
tuning in.
my phone's at 1%.
Make sure to subscribe. Miles Lane, Miles Marcoux, Quinn Lynch, Noah Lynch.
Only
We're
2 miles.
Sports
instead of
Babble.
3.
We out.
We'll see you next time on Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn. Remember, we haven't said this in a while. But eat bacon, bacon rots. So yeah, we'll see you next time on Sports Babble with Miles and Quinn. This episode will be posted on the website sportsbattlevt.com Friday at like around late-ish because I have school that day. But yeah, and now I'm gonna go post the pics on the website. Bye.
Bye.